All right, so you want to really dig into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, it's a classic for a reason.
It really is. And I know you're interested in like personal finance and you want to understand Kiyosaki's whole approach, to like building wealth and avoiding those common pitfalls.
Yeah, for sure. It's like he gives you a whole new way of looking at money. You know? Like he had these two father figures in his life.
Right, his dad and his friend's dad.
Exactly. Like his own dad, super educated, but always struggled financially. And then his friend's dad, this self-made entrepreneur who became super wealthy.
Two totally different money mindsets.
Completely. And that leads to like one of his most famous concepts, right?
Assets versus liabilities.
Yeah. Most people think their house is their biggest asset.
Right.
Yeah.
But Kiyosaki's like, nope, think again.
Exactly. He flips that whole idea on its head.
So what does he say?
Rich people focus on acquiring assets, things that put money in their pockets.
Okay, so things that generate income.
Exactly. While the poor and middle class that get stuck with liabilities, they think are assets.
But are actually draining their bank accounts.
Yeah, like those classic cash flow diagrams.
I can picture it now.
You get the arrows going in and out.
So an asset is like a rental property.
Stocks that pay dividends.
A business.
Anything that generates income, even while you sleep.
Okay, that makes sense. But what's a liability then?
Think car loans, credit card debt, even that big house.
If it's eating up your paycheck every month.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki says this confusion about assets and liabilities, it's what keeps people trapped.
In the rat race.
The rat race. Yeah. That cycle of working, paying bills, getting a raise, but then just spending more.
You're like on a treadmill.
Totally.
Yeah.
Never really getting ahead. He tells their story about the young couple, remember?
Oh, yeah, the one who upgrades their lifestyle every time they get a raise?
Yes. They work so hard, but their expenses just keep rising right along with their income.
We're stuck.
And what's really interesting is what he says about the emotional drivers behind this.
Fear and desire.
Yes. People are afraid of not having enough.
Or being different.
Exactly. But they also desire more stuff. Bigger house, a fancier car,
Like keeping up with the Joneses thing.
Yeah. So they end up stuck in this cycle.
Never really achieving financial freedom.
And then he throws out this idea of minding your own business. Mm-hmm. Remember when I first read that, I was like, wait, isn't this book about personal finance?
I had the same thought.
Right. But he's not just talking about balancing your checkbook. He wants you to think bigger.
Like an entrepreneur.
Exactly. Even if you have a traditional 9-to-5 job.
So build an asset column that generates income.
Yeah. Make your money work for you.
It's like that story he tells about Ray Kroc and McDonald's.
Yeah.
People think they're in the hamburger business.
Right. But he argues their real business is real estate.
They own the land.
And that's where the real wealth is. It's brilliant.
So it's not just about what you see on the surface. It's about understanding the underlying asset.
Exactly. And that kind of thinking, that's how you break free from the rat race. But then he takes it even further. He says the rich actually invent money.
Invent money? How's that even possible? It's not like they're printing it in their basements, right?
He's talking about seeing opportunities that other people miss.
Okay, like...
Remember that story about Alexander Graham Bell and the telephone?
Oh, yeah. He offered his patent to Western Union for like $100,000.
And they laughed at him.
Can you imagine missing out on the telephone? That's got to be one of the biggest missed opportunities ever.
And that's Kiyosaki's point. The rich see potential where others see risks.
They're not afraid to challenge the status quo.
And that's how they create wealth, especially in times of change.
So it's not just about working hard, but working smart.
And being able to spot those golden opportunities.
But let's be real, it can't be that easy, right?
Well, he talks about these roadblocks that people face on the road to financial freedom.
Like what?
Fear is a big one. Fear of losing money, fear of failure, fear of the unknown.
Oh, yeah. Fear can be paralyzing.
He tells that great story about the Alamo.
Right. A crushing defeat.
But the Texans turned it into a rallying cry. Remember, the Alamo became this symbol of resilience.
So turn those setbacks into fuel.
Exactly. Don't be defeated by them. Learn from your mistakes, get back up, and try again.
Makes sense. What are some of the other roadblocks?
Cynicism is another one.
That negativity can really hold you back.
He shares a story about an oil investment he presented to a friend.
Oh, and the friend was just super negative about it.
Totally focused on everything that could go wrong.
Wow.
Miss out on a potentially lucrative deal.
Because he couldn't see past the risks.
Exactly. So it's about being open to new possibilities. Don't let negativity cloud your judgment.
What about laziness? I feel like that plays a role for some people.
Definitely. But it's not always just sitting on the couch.
It's like being busy but not productive.
Exactly. He's talking about staying busy with things that don't actually move you forward. And you know what he suggests as a solution?
What's that?
A little bit of greed.
Greed. It's not like one of the 7 deadly sins.
He sees it differently. He's talking about that healthy desire for something better.
Oh, okay, like ambition.
Yeah, that drive to improve your life, to achieve your goals. It can be a powerful motivator.
Okay, so channel that energy into positive action. Got it. What are the last 2 roadblocks?
Bad habits, for one. He says our lives are more a reflection of our habits than our education.
So even if you know what to do, if you don't have the right habits...
You're not going to get there.
Yeah.
He makes this funny comparison to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah, everyone wants a body like Schwarzenegger.
But they're not willing to put in the work to build those consistent workout habits. It's the same with finances.
You need those good habits. Paying yourself first, investing regularly, managing your expenses.
Those are the building blocks of wealth. Speaking of paying yourself first, that's a pretty controversial idea, isn't it?
I was just thinking that. What about all the bills?
It is controversial. But Kiyosaki believes that putting your own financial needs first, even before creditors.
Even before creditors?
Yeah. He says it forces you to be more resourceful.
So it's like a financial boot camp.
Exactly. You build up your strength and resilience. Like he says, it's like hitting the gym for your finances.
I like that analogy. Okay, so we've got fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits. What's the 5th one?
Arrogance.
Arrogance.
He defines it as ego plus ignorance. That feeling of knowing it all. It can really prevent you from learning and growing.
Because you're not open to new information.
Exactly. He encourages people to stay humble, keep learning, be open to different perspectives, especially when it comes to money.
So there you have it, the 5 major roadblocks. Fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance.
I think we can all probably relate to at least one of those.
Oh, for sure. But the good news is they're not insurmountable. So now that we've talked about the obstacles, let's get to the good stuff.
The steps to take.
Exactly. What can we actually do to start building wealth? Kiyosaki lays out 10 steps to awaken your financial genius, right?
He does. We might not get through all of them right now, but we can hit the highlights.
Okay, perfect. Let's start with step 1. What's the first move?
He says you need to find a reason greater than reality. It's about having a strong why.
A burning desire.
That fuels your commitment to building wealth.
It's like that story he tells about the gold miner. Spent years searching, enduring hardship and setbacks.
All because he believed he'd strike gold eventually.
Yeah.
You need that kind of mindset.
Okay, find your why, that deep down motivation. What's step 2?
Making daily choices. He says every decision you make about how you spend your time, your money, your energy.
That's all adding up.
It's all a vote for the future you're creating.
It's like they say, every dollar you spend is a vote for the world you want to live in.
Exactly. Are your choices aligning with your financial goals?
Or are you getting sidetracked by those immediate gratification things?
Those little things can add up.
So be mindful of those choices. What's next?
Choose your friends carefully.
Ooh, it sounds a little harsh.
It's not about being a snob. It's about surrounding yourself with the right people.
People who inspire you.
Yeah. People who are financially savvy, who support your goals.
Not those who bring you down with negativity.
Right. The people you spend the most time with, they have a huge influence on you.
Choose wisely. All right, step 4.
Master a formula.
Okay.
And then learn a new one.
So always be learning, always be growing.
The financial landscape is constantly changing. Find a system that works, master it, and then be open to learning new things.
Okay. Always be adaptive.
Like surfing.
I like that. Okay, and step 5.
This one we've already touched on, but it's so important he emphasizes it throughout the whole book. Pay yourself first.
Even when money's tight, put something aside.
Build that discipline. Prioritize those long-term goals. It's a powerful habit.
Okay, so we've got finding your why, making conscious choices, choosing your tribe wisely, mastering a formula and then learning a new one, and paying yourself first. That's a lot to digest.
So moving on to step 6 in Kiyosaki's plan, he says to pay your brokers well.
Pay your brokers well.
Yeah, like real estate agents, stockbrokers, anyone who helps you with your investments.
It seems counterintuitive, right?
I know, a lot of people see brokers as just trying to take a cut.
Just looking for their commission.
But Kiyosaki sees them as partners.
Partners.
He thinks finding the right brokers can actually save you money in the long run.
So instead of trying to do everything yourself,
You invest in expertise. Someone who really knows the market.
because they have access to deals and information you might not find on your own.
Exactly. And by paying them well, You're incentivizing them to work hard for you.
To find those hidden gems that can really boost your returns.
He compares it to having a team of experts.
All working towards your financial success. Okay, that makes sense. What about step 7?
This one's interesting. Be an Indian giver.
An Indian giver. Hold on, isn't that a bit of a...
I know, but hear me out.
Okay.
He uses this concept to illustrate leverage. Using other people's money to create wealth.
Other people's money.
Like he explains how some Native American cultures had this tradition of gift giving, where the gifts were expected to be returned.
I see, like it wasn't a true gift.
Exactly, more like a loan. But the early settlers, they misunderstood this.
They thought they were getting something for free.
Exactly. And so Kiyosaki uses this to talk about things like using bank financing to buy real estate.
So you're leveraging the bank's money.
And then the rental income from the property pays off the loan over time.
So your tenants are essentially paying for your asset.
And eventually, you own it free and clear. He talks about using stock options in a similar way.
You're controlling a large amount of stock with a small investment.
Exactly. You get to play the market without putting all your own cash on the line.
Smart. Okay, step 8.
Assets buy luxuries.
So basically, build that income-generating asset column.
And then let the assets fund your lifestyle.
You're not denying yourself nice things. You're just creating a system where you can enjoy them without stressing about money.
It's like you said before, financial freedom.
I like it. Okay, step 9.
This one's a little less tangible, but it's about the need for heroes.
Finding people to look up to, people who have achieved what you want to achieve.
Exactly. Study their strategies, their mindsets, their habits. Learn from the best. He talks about how, as a kid, he would visualize himself as his favorite baseball players.
He's stepping into their shoes.
Yeah, it's a powerful technique. Okay, and finally, step 10.
Hit me with it.
Teach, and you shall receive.
Wait, how does teaching others help you build wealth?
Kiyosaki believes that sharing your knowledge...
It reinforces what you've learned.
And it opens up new opportunities. It's like putting good energy out into the world. It comes back to you.
What goes around comes around.
Exactly. He talks about how when he feels stuck, he focuses on helping others. And that often leads to breakthroughs and solutions for himself.
That's really interesting. So we've covered all 10 steps now.
From finding your why to teaching others.
There's a lot to take in. What are some of the key takeaways for you? What really stood out?
Well, one thing that struck me is how much emphasis Kiyosaki puts on mindset.
It's not just about the mechanics of money.
It's about shifting your beliefs and attitudes about wealth. Thinking like a rich person.
He also talks a lot about taking action.
Not just waiting for things to happen.
You can't just read about it. You got to do it.
He talks about taking classes, finding mentors, reading books.
And just going for it, even if you make mistakes along the way.
He even encourages people to make lots of offers.
Whether you're buying real estate, negotiating a salary.
Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid of rejection.
The more offers you make, the more likely you are to find a good deal. He also talks about overcoming fear.
Seeing failure as a learning opportunity. Having a growth mindset.
Thinking big, looking for the whole pie, not just a slice. And then, of course, there's self-discipline.
That's a big one.
Resisting those impulses to spend, delaying gratification to reach those long-term goals, developing good financial habits.
Like paying yourself first.
Managing expenses, investing regularly. He even suggests that avoiding wealth might be the best strategy for some people.
If they haven't developed that self-discipline yet.
It's tough, but it makes sense. So what's the big picture here? What's the core message?
I think it boils down to this. Building wealth isn't just about making money.
It's about financial intelligence.
Understanding how money works, changing your mindset, taking control.
It's about challenging conventional wisdom and finding your own path.
And while Kiyosaki's approach might not be for everyone, there's a lot of wisdom in his book, especially for you, with your interest in personal finance.
And avoiding those pitfalls.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad really gives you a framework for understanding those traps that keep people stuck.
It's about thinking differently about money, building a solid foundation.
Creating a future where you're in control of your finances.
Not the other way around. You know, one of the things that really got me thinking in Rich Dad, Poor Dad was Kiyosaki saying that financial education is actually like more valuable
than traditional education.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty bold statement, right?
It is.
Especially these days when everyone's like, go to college, get a good job.
Right. But he's not saying, like, don't go to college.
Right.
He's saying financial literacy is important no matter what you do.
It's a life skill.
Exactly. Like whether you're a doctor or a teacher or an artist or an entrepreneur, understanding how money works.
How to make it, how to manage it, how to invest it.
Yeah, all of that. It can really empower you to, like,
make better decisions.
Yeah, achieve your goals.
Create a better future for yourself and your family.
Exactly.
And he uses his own upbringing as an example, right?
His highly educated dad.
Struggling financially.
Struggling financially.
And his friend's dad.
Self-made entrepreneur.
Wealthy.
So it's not just about what, it's about what you do with it.
It's like he's challenging that whole definition of success, right?
You don't have to follow the traditional path.
Define success on your own terms.
I think that's really empowering.
Absolutely.
Especially for people who are, like, actively trying to
improve their lives.
Learn new things.
To build a better future.
Exactly. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's like this fresh perspective, a new way of looking at
money.
Yeah, money and opportunity. It's like he's saying, take control. Be the architect of your own financial destiny.
But it's not like a get-rich-quick scheme or anything.
No, it's about long-term vision, consistent effort.
Being willing to learn and adapt.
It's about building those good habits we talked about.
Paying yourself first.
Managing expenses.
Investing wisely. Having the discipline to, like,
use the gratification.
Yeah, and make choices that are aligned with your
long-term goals.
Yes. But it's also about being
open to new ideas.
Challenging conventional wisdom.
Thinking outside the box.
Seeing opportunities where other people see obstacles.
Taking risks.
Never stop learning. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad, we want to leave you with this one last thought. Kiyosaki says financial education is often more valuable than traditional education.
What do you think?
We really encourage you to explore that question. Think about your own beliefs about money and how you can equip yourself with the knowledge and skills to create the financial future you want.
The journey to financial freedom.
It starts with a single step.
What will your first step be?